Welcome to Alpha Male Power. My name is Dan Bacon, and this program is about getting you to unleash the natural alpha male power within you. You have it. It's there. Right? But because of potentially a bad upbringing or ineffective role models or things that you've learned along the way, the power within you has been suppressed. Either that or you're rejecting it. You know that it's there, but you're just rejecting it out of fear. You can be a powerful alpha male. And of course, one of the main benefits of that is that you're going to be the most attractive to women. The more alpha you are, the more attractive you are to women. Alright, so I've got my notes here for the program, and I'll be referring to those. I'm also going to be showing you some clips of a talk I did at a seminar on alpha male power. So they'll be mixed in throughout the program. But for now, let me just say that the main type of things that this program is about attracting women on the deepest level possible. So not just a superficial level of attraction. Overcoming your approach anxiety. So if you've got that anxiety when you want to approach women, when you've got that hesitation, you see a woman that you want to approach and you can't do it. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Sometimes you feel like, yeah, I'm kind of ready, but then it's, oh, no, I can't. You can't get yourself over that. Or sometimes you might get into a flow of, hooking up with women, but then you go into a bad patch and you just can't do it. And your approach anxiety comes back. So this program, I've got an amazing solution in this program about overcoming approach anxiety, and it's going to change your life. It's also about overcoming the other fears that you have related to women. There are a lot of fears that guys have because they suppress their masculinity, their alpha male power, and I'm going to help you get rid of those very quickly. It's about being the type of man who is respected by men and wanted by women. Right? So being an alpha male gains you respect from other guys. Right? Lowering your status around guys, being a low-ranking male, does not get you the respect of other men, of other alpha males. That's not how nature works. Right? So this program is about getting that, the respect. Right? So you're included into alpha male sort of friend groups. You're respected by other men. You're not picked on. You're not discounted. You're not ignored. You're not all that sort of stuff. Right? And wanted by women, of course. Right? So being the type of man who is wanted by women. Right? Because I'm going to explain the reasons, like the nature, to do with nature, as to why women prefer alpha males, and also survival, why women prefer alpha males. So you've got to be the type of guy that women want in order to have your choice with women. You can't be the type of guy that women don't want and then expect women to line up for you. It's just not going to happen. Being able to go after what you want with women and in life. So getting rid of the fear, getting rid of the BS excuses, and just doing what you need to do, doing what you want to do. And without hesitation. No fears, as I said, no excuses. You use your alpha male power, you use that natural inbuilt power that you have to make things happen. Okay, so before we get into talking about being an alpha male, what an alpha male is, and all sorts of alpha male techniques, I want to talk about alpha male power. Now, alpha male power is this thing that I'm talking about here, this thing that I'm trying to get you to unleash within you, because you have it there, right? And it's an intangible type of thing. It's not as easy as saying, okay, it's like a table. Everyone knows what a table is, or oh, it's a football. Everyone knows what that is, right? It's very simple. It's an object. This is a sort of intangible thing. It's a power. So for some guys, they're going to need to watch the entire program before they can grasp what alpha male power is. Some guys will grasp it maybe a week later. And many guys, you might grasp it immediately as we're going through the program. You already might have an idea of what it is. Alright, so what is alpha male power? Okay, so it's a different source of personal power than self-esteem or confidence, right? You know, confidence, it's a sort of power that you can have, right? Self-esteem, they're sort of intangible things that you can have. They're not like a football or a table or a can of Coke. These are intangible things. These are sources of power. And you can either use them or reject them, harness them or waste them. You know, it's up to you as a human being how you take control of the power that is available to you. You know, you can either, as I said, waste it or deny it and reject it, or you can harness it, you can use it, and you can enjoy the benefits as a result. So self-esteem and confidence, obviously they're important, right? I'm not saying they're not important, but there's more power available to you than just self-esteem or confidence as a man, right? As a human being, there's more power available to you. Alpha male power is a power that you're pre-built with, right? But most guys deny and suppress it out of fear. Now I've got a quote here from one of my favourite UFC fighters of all time, John Bones Jones, and one of the things he said, which I thought was brilliant, he said, "Our biggest fear is not that we're inadequate, but we are powerful beyond measure. Don't fear success. When the opportunity comes, take it." That's pretty powerful advice. It's pretty powerful wisdom. You know, like, our biggest fear is not that we're inadequate. You know, we're not fearful that we're not good enough. We're actually fearful that we're a lot better than we think we are. You know, than we allow ourselves to think we are. Like, you're a lot more powerful than you allow yourself to think you are. Right? And if you've been hiding from stepping up as an alpha male in life, then you most likely fit into that category. This power that I'm talking about comes from your deeper thinking. It's something that happens as a result of you thinking a certain way. When you think in a certain way, an alpha male way, it then translates into you behaving like an alpha male, acting like an alpha male, talking like an alpha male, moving like an alpha male. When you get the thinking right, everything else takes care of itself from there, just naturally. You just naturally start to behave and move and act and do things like an alpha male, take actions like an alpha male. However, if you think like an omega male, right, omega male is the bottom of the pack, and we'll talk about pack orders and all that sort of stuff later, but a very low ranking male, the lowest ranking male, an omega male. If you think like an omega male, right, you have that thinking, then your behavior, your actions, your vibe, your presence, it's going to be one of an omega male. You can't actually behave and have a vibe of an alpha male if you've got omega male thinking in your head. Right? So the thinking needs to change if you want to be an alpha male and harness the power. You know, have women deeply attracted to you to the point where they can't actually turn off their feeling of attraction. It's an automatic reaction. When they see you, when they interact with you, as an interaction is going, a woman can't help but just feel deep attraction. It's just there. So if you're not alpha, if you are afraid to step up and be alpha, then you're going to be a lower ranking male by default, right? Just if you're not alpha, you're lower. And the thing is, if you're not alpha, then you're not the most attractive that you can be to women. So you're limiting yourself. You're limiting your potential with women. You're limiting the type of women that you can attract. And you're also limiting yourself in terms of what you can do in your life and what you can achieve and how people are going to treat you. So let's have a look. Any man can have this power. Right? It's not reserved for certain types of guys. Any man can have this power. But it's only available if you think like an alpha male. You have to give this power to yourself as well, by the way. It's not something that the world gives to you. It's like, oh, you're such a nice guy, aren't you? Alright, well, look, why don't you be the alpha male and we'll just all submit to you? Ah, okay. Oh, isn't he sweet? Yes, oh, he's very strong, isn't he? The world doesn't do that, right? The world doesn't put you up on a pedestal and say, we'll all follow you even though you're not even strong, right? Nature doesn't do it either. That's not how nature works. If you look out there in the animal kingdom and also in the human kingdom. You look at the way that humans behave as well, but nature doesn't reward weakness, right? It just doesn't. It's just not the way that it works. So if you want to have this power, you have to take it, and you know, it's yours. You've been born with it. Don't deny it, don't reject it, don't hide it. It's not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing, right? When you use it in a good way, it's a very good thing, right? Being an alpha male, but also being a good guy, that's everyone's favorite type of guy. Everyone likes those sort of guys. The alpha guys that are also good guys. Everyone likes them. And all the girls love them, right? So it's not a bad thing. If you're alpha and you're being, you know, mean, vicious, violent, selfish, all that sort of stuff, obviously that's not a good thing, right? So, but you know, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about being a good guy and being alpha. Everyone loves that sort of guy. Everyone wants to be that guy's friend, and things work well for that guy in his life. Additionally, when you embrace this power that you have, this alpha male status, role, presence, this identity that you do have naturally, when you embrace that, what you'll find is that you'll get instant respect from women. A lot of guys, over the years I've been contacted by a lot of guys talking about their experiences, and also coached a lot of guys and hearing about their experiences, and they often talk about walking up and talking to women, trying to talk to women, and the women really not giving them the time of day, really not giving them much back, you know, not showing much interest, not giving them much attention or respect. Why? Because the guy is placing the women above them. The guy is putting his alpha male power, you know, aside and trying to, you know, excuse me, girls, can you please be nice to me and take pity on me? Is it okay if I talk to you? I'm just coming in to talk, don't mind me, sort of thing. And it's like, again, that's not how nature works, right? Women aren't going to reward the weakness of men. They're just not going to, right? Whereas with alpha male power, you're walking over and you're talking to women, and there's absolutely no reduction in your power and presence. There's no, excuse me, sort of thing, like dropping your power, can I talk to you, waiting for their approval. It's just, hey, I'm here. How you doing? You know, and you're right there in the moment. Like, there's nothing about you that's changing in order to hopefully get their approval or appease them or all that sort of stuff. You're arriving, you're the man. Another thing about alpha male power is that when you actually grasp this and you're able to use it and live with your power and not hide it, and it becomes part of who you are and just how you move through the world, you'll see that pickup, it just becomes basically, what is it? You don't even try. It's just so natural and easy, you don't have to try. You just go up and the women are automatically attracted to you. They're automatically interested. They feel your power. And it's an instinctive reaction they have. They just, oh, okay. And they just go straight into the natural, they have the natural reaction that they have to alpha males. That instinctive reaction where it's submit. And sure, women will test you to see if that power is actually real. And it will be real. Now I'm going to give you all the mindsets for that now throughout this program. And, you know, when they test and see that it actually is real, that you are actually a true alpha male, and you have fully embraced your power, it's game over. They can't do anything other than, wow, you know, you're one in a million, like probably more, I don't know. You know, you're so rare to them because, you know, so many men are flawed in terms of their embracing their own power, embracing, you know, the strength that they have, and they bow down, they suppress it, they let go of their power in challenging moments, rather than standing strong and saying, hey, I'm here, I'm the alpha male. And so women, they can feel it instinctively. They know that you can't fake this type of power for long. You know, some guys can put on a front, and a lot of guys put on a front, but you can easily see through it, and women can instinctively feel their way through that, and they can tell by the guy, how he talks, how he responds to things, how he looks around the room, how he stands, everything, his actions, his behaviour. They can see through it. But when it's real, pickup, it's seriously, it's the most easiest thing in the world. Like, when I go out now, I get something every time. It's either the first girl that I speak to or the second girl that I speak to. Sometimes I might go out and I'll speak to 2 or 3 girls and they just won't be that compatible. Okay, I'll speak to 4 girls that night. But you go out and you get something every time. And that actually adds to your alpha male power, because you end up walking through the world. Like, I was walking through a shopping mall today, and I was thinking, I have to mention this when I do the program today, that when I walk through the world now, I'm walking through the world and it's like I see women, I'm just like, women. I just look at them like women. I just love them. I know that I can have them. I know that all it takes is me to interact with the girl, and I'll be inside of her within hours. I'll be having sex with her within hours, right? She'll be opening up to be penetrated by me. It's just she wants to, because I'm alpha, and it's just a reaction she's going to have. And also because I know how to follow the flow. Actually, I follow through. I don't just talk to the girl and not escalate. I'll push it through because I enjoy it. It's so enjoyable to go through the process and have a new woman all the time. Very regularly having new women every week, etc., etc. It's very enjoyable. And it adds to your power. You walk through the world, you just know you can have it. You're walking through and you're see a girl, you're like, nice. And it's just, you can have her. And she looks at you, she smiles, you smile back at her. And it's just this power that you have. It's pretty awesome. Okay, finally, before we move on to answering the question, what is an alpha male? Alpha male power is a feeling of power and control that stays with you. So, I'll talk about the mindsets that give you this, as we go through the program, but it's just, you don't get thrown off by things when you're in the alpha male mode of being. When you embrace this alpha male mode of being, you just don't get thrown off by things. You're not afraid of things, you're not, you don't feel nervous and all that sort of stuff. All that stuff just becomes irrelevant. It's whatever. And you're not thrown off. You walk through the world with a sense of power and control. Things can happen around you, chaotic situations, and you can be totally in control. And you know that you just got this thing of, okay, what am I going to do about it? What's the situation? What am I going to do about it? Rather than, what am I going to do? Somebody help me. Alpha male, please help me. It's I'll take control of the situation. And it's just this power that you have, right? It's a sense of control that you have. I'm not saying that you're super invincible and nothing can hurt you. We're human beings, but it's just this sense of power and control that you have. And I suppose a great example of that was the UFC fight between Jon Bones Jones and Rampage Jackson. Now, if you've ever seen Rampage Jackson fight, he's a pretty mean dude, and he's a headhunter, and he goes around, he's looking for the knockout, and he's a pretty tough dude, right? And then Jon Bones Jones, he gets in there, and he's just got this sense of power and control. He's totally not thrown off by it. And Rampage Jackson ended up saying, after he lost to Jon Bones Jones, he said he was just mesmerised by Jon in the ring. He couldn't even do anything. He couldn't fight his normal fight. Jon Bones Jones was just there, just picking him apart, and he was just in control. And it's that's an example of it, of that power and control that you can have. Now, you bring that over to women, and it's you're just going into a situation, and you're not thrown off by it at all. Nothing's making you think. You're just okay, what am I going to do? What do I like? Which girl do I like? Which one should I talk to? Should I have sex with her now? I want to go get a drink or take her to the bar and kiss her. It's just, there's nothing that's worrying you. You're just going and doing whatever you want, right? It's just, it's a kind of, as I said, it's an intangible thing to explain. It's not as easy as saying, it's a table or a football. This alpha male power thing. It's something that you probably grasped already, but I want to make it even more clear for you throughout this program. Okay, so what is an alpha male? An alpha male, it's more about how you think, how you behave, and the actions you take, rather than the physical. For most of human history, pretty much 100% of human history, alright, so it's pretty much all of it, we haven't lived in the situation that we've been living in now, in our city situation, in our modern civilized environment. For almost 100% of human history, the physical, being physically bigger than other guys, was a huge advantage in terms of your rank in a pack of males. Right? You could out-alpha other guys with the threat of violence or death, and obviously that happened. You know, people killed each other all the time. Now, in our modern world, it's a much more even playing field, and it's not about the physical anymore. Although the physical is an alpha trait, it's not about that anymore. All right, so an example of that, an everyday example, is the say a manager in an office. Right now, a manager in an office, he can be a short guy, a thin guy, and he can be more alpha than all the other guys in there, and they will all have to comply with him. Right, so they can't turn around and start beating him up, because they'll lose their job, they'll go to jail, all that sort of stuff, right? So, we've got a different world now, with laws in our civilized society, so that being an alpha male is no longer about being the biggest guy, and you would have seen that as well when you've seen big guys who are very shy and nervous and stuff, right? Or big guys being dominated by shorter guys, where you've got a group of guys and a shorter guy in the group, or a guy that isn't big and muscly, is the alpha male of the group, and everyone listens to him. Right? So, of course, that would have happened throughout human history, but more so today, the playing field has been leveled out. So you can be an alpha male regardless of your height, your size, your race, etc. Right? So it's a different world these days, and you would have seen it in your life. All sorts of guys take on the alpha male role, and it's not necessarily about who's the biggest and strongest. Right? That's just not how it works anymore, and probably it didn't always work like that. But as I said, in the past, someone could kill someone and get away with it. So having a bigger guy say, "Hey, listen to me, or I'll kill you," would have been enough motivation to say, "Yeah, okay," for the smaller guys, when they hang around bigger guys. But obviously now it has changed. Let's see. So let's have a look at pack order, right? So we don't live in little packs and tribes, right? But for the sake of talking about alpha male and understanding the dynamics of it and the pack and different types of males, let's just talk about pack order of the traditional pack order, right? So you've got alpha being the most dominant, beta second in command, then gamma, middle sort of thing, delta middle to lower, and then omega at the bottom. All right, so it all sounds very complicated, but the three most important that we need to focus on, and I'll talk about throughout this program, are alpha, beta, and omega. All right, so alpha, and then beta, one step down, and then omega, lowest ranking male of the pack. So what you'll find is that in all sorts of group situations, men will rank themselves accordingly based on their thinking. If they've got the thinking of an omega male, they're going to rank themselves that way, they're going to behave that way, and they're going to place themselves in that situation, in a group situation. Whereas a man who's got alpha male thinking, he'll take on the alpha role. Or at least be one of the alpha males. Because it's not one closed tribe anymore, it's like we're a part of many different groups and you could say tribes. There's not just one alpha anymore. You can be one of the alphas. And I know that kind of sounds, doesn't make logical sense in terms of the pack order, but we're not in a closed pack as humans. It's not how it works. And you can actually be one of the alpha males. And the alpha male position is chopping and changing all the time. It's not a battle to be the number one alpha, to be an alpha male in the modern world. It's not, you standing at the top saying, right, everyone submit to me, everyone's obedient to me. Like, you can take on the alpha role sometimes, but sometimes it's more appropriate for another guy to take on the alpha role. That's fine. So let's have a look at some situations. Right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about a situation that you might find yourself in, and then I'll talk about what an alpha male would do, and then what a lower ranking male would do. So anywhere from beta down to omega, but it's more a lower ranking male, very lower ranking male behavior. So let's see, a room full of new people. You're in a room full of new people. Now, what an alpha male would do is assume the alpha role. He won't ask for it, he won't try to get people's approval for it, he won't see if it's okay, he'll just assume that he's the alpha, and he'll just take on that role. And then the lower ranking male looks around to see who he should follow. So the lower ranking male is looking around for who the alpha male is, and then he'll follow that alpha male, or even all the people higher than him. An example of this from my personal life, when I was getting promoted in the corporate environment, when I first started working all this stuff out, and I was enjoying the flow, going out and approaching every weekend and all that sort of stuff, and really developing as a person, I also became more alpha, and I started to take on alpha thinking. And what happened is, as a result, I got the opportunity to get promoted into a leadership role. Now, what happened when I went to go for that leadership role is that because I wasn't experienced with leadership, I didn't have a university degree, I didn't have any experience leading people, the management there, everyone sort of thought that it should be me, but they weren't entirely sure if it was the right decision to just let me take the leadership role, seeing that I didn't have any experience. So what happened is that they made me apply for it, and they also plucked out, about 15 other people from the massive company that I was working in who were potentials, and also advertised it publicly and had people come in and apply. And then they brought us to like a fishbowl situation, where they had job recruiters put us through a series of group situations, and they just sort of sat back with their clipboards sort of thing and analysed us. And one of the situations was we put into a boardroom situation, and I walked in, I just sat at the head of the table, just walked in, sat at the head of the table, and then they said, here's the situation. They gave us some scenario, we had to work on some project or whatever, and we were to work together on it. So, everyone was given a brief on it, and I just picked it up, and I just started leading the situation. So I looked at the brief, and I said, okay, so there's 3 big tasks here. What does everyone think about if we break it up into 3 groups? We'll work on it, and then once we've come up with our solutions, we'll then talk together as a group, and then move it forward from there. And everyone's like, yeah, okay. And so we broke up into our groups of 3. We worked on our tasks and what we were planning to do, and then it was like, okay, how's everyone doing? We're all ready. Let's talk about it. And then it's like, so what did you guys come up with? And I'm leading the situation, and I just assume that role. It's just, I'm allowed to, why not? Just do it. So that's an example of, that alpha male thinking. I'm allowed to be an alpha male, therefore, I had that thinking, I'm allowed to be an alpha male, therefore, I'll behave like an alpha male, I'll take actions like an alpha male, and thus I did. And then got promoted, got the job, and then went on after that to become the leader of the leaders. So if you're in a situation with new people, whether it's at a party, whether it's at, you've walked into a bar to approach women, whether you're in a work environment, just assume the alpha role. It's not about bossing other people around and telling everyone that they have to listen to you, but it is about taking charge of the situation in a win-win sort of way. Like, I'm not I didn't take charge of that situation in a very bossy and domineering way, where it's like, all right, everyone, listen to me. This is what we're going to do, right? there's 3 tasks here. We're going to break up into 3 groups. After you've done, you've worked on your task, then let me know and we'll talk about it. It's like, everyone's going to be like, who's this idiot, right? And I'm going to have resentment, I'm going to have, people trying to undermine me, right? It's not the way to behave, right? So I behaved in a way where it was more, it was win-win for everyone. Everyone was getting to get involved, they had the opportunity to get involved, and I wasn't coming across as being overly bossy. In terms of walking up and talking to women, it's about walking up and just assuming the alpha role. They're not the alphas. You're the man, you're the alpha male. Walking up and saying, hey, how you doing tonight? And just standing there talking to them, and it's like, you're the alpha. You're in control of the situation. You're deciding whether or not you like the girls or not. You're deciding whether or not you want to keep talking to them or not. If you don't feel like talking to them anymore, you can just say, yeah, cool, hey, look, it's been nice talking to you guys. We're going to head off and grab a drink at the bar, but, might talk to you later or something like that. Alright, catch you later. And just walking off. You're in control of the situation. Okay, so the next situation or scenario is a man notices an opportunity to talk to a woman he finds attractive. Alright, so you're walking through a situation, a public situation, and you see a girl that you like, you find her attractive. An alpha male, he'll go over and talk to her, right? A lower ranking male will wait for obvious signals from her, or he'll avoid approaching her out of fear or out of fear of the angry boyfriend. Alright, so lower ranking males, they'll often have that type of thinking going on. What if she's got a boyfriend? What if he comes over and wants to fight me? Alright, so that's a very common one that comes up, and it's been asked a lot over the years by people contacting us at the Modern Man. What if she's got an angry boyfriend, all that sort of stuff. I've been approaching women for many, many years. It just doesn't happen, right? If you go over and you're being like a try-hard pickup artist and you're really trying hard to pick her up, then sure, you're going to get some bad reactions. But the Modern Man approach isn't to go over and try hard to pick up. You're going over and being a cool, confident, easygoing guy. There's nothing wrong with that. No one can be angry about that. I mean, sure, there might be some angry boyfriend out there that'll get angry even if you look at his girlfriend, but, I haven't experienced it. And, if a guy did get angry at me for talking to a girl that happened to be his girlfriend, yeah, cool, man, sorry, man, didn't know she was your girlfriend. There's no need to out-alpha him in the situation and beat him up. Just, yeah, cool, no worries. I'm not going to waste my time or cause injury, potentially be put in jail for beating a guy up, or getting injured myself over a girl. It's like, I'll talk to another girl, no big deal. So the alpha male, right, sees a woman that he wants to talk to, he's going to walk over and talk to her. He doesn't need to get approval or permission from anyone. He's not doing anything wrong. He's not going over and lifting up her skirt and starting to have sex with her immediately. He's walking over and speaking. There's nothing wrong with speaking. Hi, how are you? I'm Dan. Yeah, how you going? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. So the alpha male, he doesn't need anyone to... Is it okay if I go over and just say hello to her? Is that cool with everyone? Everyone in the shopping mall cool with me just walking up to this stranger that you don't even know me? Is it okay? It's like, you see a girl that you're attracted to, walk over and talk to her. Like, that's the alpha male thing. It's like, you just walk over and do what you want. Like, one of the mindsets that I have, and this is, some guys might be a bit uncomfortable with this mindset because they might think it's a bit too alpha, or a bit too assuming or whatever. But I kind of see them as my girls. They're like, if I see a group of girls, that's my harem. They're my girls. Like, when I walk into a club or a bar, or if I'm in a shopping mall or whatever the situation is, I'm not looking at the girls as, whose girls are these? If I look at a girl and she's showing me signals of interest, then, I'm not wondering, does she have a boyfriend or not? Because that's going to come out in the conversation. I'm not going to go, oh, well, actually, maybe I shouldn't approach her because she's attractive. Most attractive girls have boyfriends, yeah. I'll just give it a miss because she's probably going to have a boyfriend. Go over there and talk to her, and you'll find that if she does have a boyfriend, that's going to come up. And obviously, if she does have a boyfriend, personally speaking, I just don't go any further. It goes against what I want to do. It's It's not my, personal morals and values to go and do that, right? So, but, when I look at women, I look at them as my women, unless they're walking along with a boyfriend or husband. Okay, that's your girl. If I see a girl, she's mine. I can have her if I want to. That's the alpha male thinking. So it's like like I'm saying here, notices an opportunity to talk to a woman he finds attractive, goes and talks to her. Whereas the lower ranking male, he's looking for really obvious signals from a woman. He's waiting for her to sort of do what they do in the movies and, that sort of stuff, and, call him over. Or he's fearful that she's going to have an angry boyfriend, or he's fearful that people are going to think he's a sleaze for going over and talking to her. Alright, so next situation or scenario, talking to an alpha female. Alright, so there are alpha females too. When an alpha male talks to an alpha female, he knows that he's more dominant than her. He doesn't need to prove it. He's not lowering his alpha male status and role and power to suit her. She's not going to take on the most alpha role. He's the alpha male. She can be an alpha female all she wants, but she's not an alpha male. Alright, so he's the alpha male. He knows that he's more dominant, doesn't need to prove it. She'll test him on it, and he'll pass the tests just naturally and easily because he doesn't feel thrown off. Like I was saying before, you don't feel thrown off. You're not like, oh, am I the alpha male? I'm the alpha male. End of story. Right? So throw what you want at me. It doesn't actually matter. It doesn't mean anything to me. You can be, the girl can be dancing around and doing all sorts of crazy stuff and saying all sorts of crazy stuff. Doesn't mean anything. I'm the alpha male. End of story. A lower-ranking male talking to an alpha female submits to her lead, right? So he just submits to her as the leader. She can just boss him around, right? So obviously that's not going to be attractive to women. Women aren't men. They don't want to be in the position of men. They want you to be the man, right? So being a lower-ranking male, as I said, if you're not alpha, you're lower-ranking, and if you're not alpha, you're not as attractive as you can be to women. Alright, so if you talk to a woman that's alpha and you let her be the most alpha, right, in your mind, it's like you let her be the most alpha in your mind, you place her above you in your mind, then you're losing. Now, I say mind because there are times when you can let her lead a situation, but notice the language I'm using. You let her. I let girls do things. I'll let them lead. I'll let other guys lead situations, but I'm always letting other people do things. And that might be a bit arrogant, but hey, that's the alpha male thing. You're the alpha, and like you're deciding what's going on. Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's go with that. Yeah, good idea. Do it. Just you're letting other people do things. That's just alpha. Okay, next situation or scenario: opportunity to lead a situation. Alright, so an opportunity comes up for you to lead a situation, whether big or small. An alpha male will lead it, or will get someone else to do it and let them lead it. He'll coordinate or delegate the situation, the task. So a lower-ranking male waits for the alpha male to lead, or asks the alpha male what he's going to do. Right, so the lower-ranking male, there's an opportunity to lead a situation, and he's sort of like, looking to the alpha male and saying, oh, so what are you going to do, man? Letting the alpha male take control, right? Whereas an alpha male will say, okay, let's do this. Or we'll say, hey, who's got ideas on what we should do? And he's leading the situation. You don't always have to come up with the idea, but the alpha male thing is to lead the situation. Okay, next situation or scenario. Encounters a bad situation or scenario in life, like loses his job. An alpha male, it's fine to feel the emotion of the situation, and you might be a bit peed off about it, you might be a bit annoyed. It's like, damn it, lost my job, how annoying, whatever. But the alpha male will deal with it and get a new job. Deal with the situation and find a solution. Whereas a lower-ranking male will bitch and moan about it, will seek pity, and will almost have an approach about him where he's hoping people come to his rescue, like a little boy. Like how he was rescued by how his mum and dad took care of him when he was younger. Everything was done for him, sort of thing. And that's the lower ranking male mentality, is to bitch and moan about it, whine, seek pity, and hope that other people sort of help him out. Whereas the alpha male, it's fine to accept help, the alpha male. It's like, yeah, you want to help me out? Cool, you know, or hey, could you help me out with this situation? That'd be really appreciated. But he's going to deal with it. He's not going to be like, oh, you know, and I've lost my job and I don't know what to do, and you know, oh, it's just so frustrating and stressful, and then my boss said this and I said that, and you know, just whinging and moaning about it. It's like, dude, deal with it. Get a new job. Shut up. You know, like, move on. You know, it's the mechanics of life like that, and not something for you to be wasting your time and energy over. You know, like the mechanics of life, having a job, going and eating, sleeping, and all that sort of stuff, they're just standard things that come with life. You know, you should be focusing your time and energy on bigger things, on you reaching your true potential as a man, not going around in circles like a little girl. Okay, so the next one is about a friend behaving badly, right? So, say one of your guy friends is behaving badly, you know, being a bit insensitive, being a bit lazy, a bit inconsiderate, you know, those sort of things, right? An alpha male will call him on it, you know, be like, hey dude, what's with that, man? That's a bit full on. What are you saying that for? You know, or hey man, like, you know, you told me you were going to do this and then you didn't do it. It's like, man, that's not cool. You know, don't be doing that sort of stuff. You know, you'll call his friend on it, right? Whereas a lower ranking male will put off saying anything, will, you know, be running around in his head about it and saying, oh, should I say this, should I do that? Or he'll try to imply it indirectly, or he'll start behaving badly back to the guy, and then, you know, hopefully the guy will get the picture, you know, that, hey, you know, you shouldn't treat me like that. Whereas an alpha male will just say, hey man, hey, what's going on here? You know, just call him right on it. Now, that is something that, if you're not comfortable with doing that already, it's just something that you need to get comfortable with doing, you know, and, you know, it's something that wasn't so easy for me to do in the early days, and I had to do that in my leadership career as I became an alpha male and I got promoted. I had to do that, and it was uncomfortable for me. I only felt comfortable giving praise to people, like, oh, good job, or that's good, and I didn't feel comfortable saying, hey, I'm not really happy with that, you know, but, you know, I had to get comfortable with it. And a book that I read, actually, that helped me with that, and it was a very, very simple book, but probably one of the best, even though I read very complicated books on leadership. The best one, and the one that I would recommend people to read, is The 1 Minute Manager. And it talks about praising and reprimanding people, but I then use that same psychology and behavior and human behavior in my relationships with friends and with women and with family. And people are so much more respectful and also appreciative of the things that you say, because they know that you say it with integrity. You know, when you say to someone, hey man, I'm really happy with what you did there, or hey, I really appreciate that, they know that it's real. You're not just saying that like you say it to everyone, because they also experience you saying, hey, you know, that was quite frustrating what you did last week. You know, really, it annoyed me how you did that. So, you know, and they're hearing that, you know, they're having that effect on you as well. So the alpha male, he's not afraid to call his friend on it. And likewise, he's not afraid to call people on situations like that as well, on bad behavior. Okay, next situation or scenario, approaches group of women. An alpha male will retain the alpha position regardless of tests or number of alpha females in the group. Right, so it doesn't matter what they do. Do whatever you want. You know, anything that girls can do in that situation, it doesn't actually matter. You're still the alpha male. End of story. A lower ranking male submits to women who are more alpha than him. So he'll go up and talk to a group of women, and you'll see that there are strong women in the group, and he'll bow down to them, you know, mentally and throughout conversation and by his behavior and actions, he'll be bowing down to them. Not cool, right? It's like, as I said, if you're not alpha, then you're lower ranking. If you're not alpha, you're not as attractive as you can be to women, right? So if you're lowering your rank, you're letting go of your alpha male power. You're letting go of your attractiveness to women. Why do it? Don't do it. They don't want you to do it, by the way. They don't want you to. They love alpha males. They, it's the ultimate for them. So why hide it? Next situation scenario. Sees woman he likes, but there are other guys in the situation too, or in the place, in the room, right? So an alpha male, if he sees a woman he likes and there are other guys there, guess what the other guys are? Irrelevant. They're nothing. Other guys are not competition for an alpha male. Like, personally speaking, when I go out, and this has been happening for years, since the time of the flow. I remember telling a friend about this, and it wasn't until years later when I realized the significance of what I had been doing. And that was, we would actually go out to a club in Melbourne, Australia, that is known for attracting celebrities and models and all that sort of stuff, right? It was one of those sort of clubs. And, by the way, the way we used to get into that club, because it was very hard to get into, we'd walk along the street and, heading to the club, and we'd stop girls on the street. We'd be like, hey guys, what's happening? How you guys doing? And we'd talk to them, hot girls, because you need to get hot girls to get into this club. We'd say, hey, we're about to go to the name of the club. You guys should come. It's going to be an awesome night tonight. And, we'd say, we'd ask the girls what are they up to and blah, blah, blah. And usually they don't really know. And we'd get girls coming with us every time we go to this club. And the bouncers got to know us and we got to get in there because it was very, very exclusive. But anyway, in that club, I noticed that, despite the fact that there were like football players and male models in there and stuff like that, I didn't actually notice any of them. And I remember telling my friend about it because he was talking about, such and such, this guy did that and that guy did that. I said, really? And I said, I just realized something. I don't even notice the guys. I don't even notice them. They don't even register. They don't register. And it was like back then I didn't realize the significance of it, but it was this alpha male mindset that was developing that I don't see other guys as competition. Like, I'm not comparing myself to them. There's no comparison. I'm the alpha male. I'm Dan. End of story. There's no comparison. Is that guy better than me? Is that guy better than me? There's no comparison needed. I'm already the alpha male. End of story. Right? So that, that has really helped me over the years. And, about 3 months ago, just for fun, just for the hell of it, I thought I'd try something. Because I remember I was telling someone about this mindset and how I'm going to teach it in this program. And I said, you know what, I'm going to go out this weekend and I'm actually going to stop and I'm going to notice the other guys in the room and start comparing myself to them, and see what happens. And I did that and immediately I felt less than. Like I started looking around and it's like, because I'm not like a big muscly guy or anything like that. I'm just a normal average looking dude. And I'm in the club and there's dudes in there that have been working out for years and they're tall and they look good and it's like, I'm like, ugh. I started having that mindset creep in, like, whoa. Then in that moment I'm like, now I can remember what I used to experience and I remember and I know what other guys are experiencing. So I immediately went, stuff that, and just switched it off. Okay, so in this situation where you see women that you like, but there are other guys in the situation too, the alpha male doesn't recognize them as competition, they're irrelevant, right? They don't even register. Whereas the lower ranking male weighs up his chances compared to the other guys, worries that the girl will go for them instead. So, you see some guys talking to girls and, I've seen it when I've been in groups before, and the girl is with the guy, but he's constantly worrying about how the other guys are looking compared to him, in terms of their confidence and their, what they're saying in the conversation. He's constantly going, sort of looking and thinking, worrying that the girl's going to like the other guys compared to him. That omega male, that lower ranking male thinking is never going to help you, right? That's never going to help you. It's only going to cause you to behave like that, that guy I'm describing. Where he's in that group situation and other guys are talking and being confident and alpha, and he's constantly looking at his girl to see if she's looking at anyone. It's like, dude. But whereas personally, when I'm in a situation like that, it doesn't matter what anyone does. Do whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter. And my girl my girls, they pick up on that, they can see that, they can sense that, and that attracts them even deeper, because they get the sense that, okay, Dan is the alpha male. You know, and the alpha is what they want. That's what they want. Okay, so now let's talk about some common misconceptions about being an alpha male. Right? Some of the reasons why guys avoid being an alpha male and deny that power that they have, suppress it, reject it. One of them is that you have to be the most alpha. Alright, that's a misconception. Some guys think that in order to be alpha, you always have to be the most alpha in the situation and dominate everyone and boss everyone around. But the reality is that you only need to be one of the alphas. And as I said earlier on, like literally and logically speaking, that doesn't make so much sense in terms of like the pack order, because there can only be one alpha. However, as I said, we're not in just one closed tribe anymore. You know, if you think about almost 100% of human history, then okay, it would have applied, but not anymore. Right? Things have changed. So there can now be many alpha males because we're in a constantly changing mix of people rather than a closed tribe of a set number of people. Right? So we're not in a pack like animals, and we're not in a tribe like primitive humans. We're in an ever-changing mix of people, and you're a part of many groups, or you could say tribes. So, as I said earlier, you can be one of the most alpha in one situation, and you can also be one of the alphas in another situation. You don't always have to be the number one. You know, and an example of that for my personal life is a friend of mine who is good at, he likes to organise things, and he's good at organising things. When he and a couple of other my friends, we get together, you know, every now and again to do something, play some golf, or go have a drink and play some pool and just catch up, sort of thing. You know, we don't see each other that often. He's good at organising that sort of thing, so I leave that to him, and it's always, hey man, so what are the plans? Where are we going? And you know, I don't have to say, hey man, so we're meeting up next week. Here's where we should go, and here's where I've decided, and here's what we're going to do. You don't have to do that, right? Like the alpha doesn't have to do that. And if you are that type of alpha, then it's a stressful, busy life. You know, one of the things I learned in my leadership career was that it's about empowering people, delegating things to people rather than trying to do everything yourself. You know, the guy that was in the position before me, he was stressed out and working very, very long hours, and his staff weren't respecting him. They weren't really doing their job properly. Whereas when I eventually, you know, did my thing and became a leader and learned how to do it properly, and learned that it was about empowering people, getting them to do things and feel good about themselves, and get involved and grow as people, then I had a staff of people that were working their butts off and happily. You know, they were coming to work in record numbers. You know, one of the reasons I ended up getting promoted again was that my team went from being really bad to one of the worst to having the best attendance rate, you know, very, very low levels of sick leave. It just, you know, people were coming in sick, and I was like, hey, you know, you shouldn't be coming in sick, but they wanted to be there to make sure that they were doing the right thing by me. You know, they were doing a great job, and I was getting people out of my team promoted, and then, you know, that then was seen by my superiors as someone who was empowering people, and then I got put into a position where I was in charge of the leaders. So it was then about empowering them and getting them to be better. So being alpha is not about doing everything and deciding everything. You can be at the top of a situation and have everyone else do everything, and you're still the leader, right? Like, that's just the way it goes, right? Or you can be an alpha that's at the top of a situation and he's running around, you know, busy as, and you got no time to even breathe. So with this situation with my friend, like, you know, and it's not just, hey man, what are we doing, and then let him decide. If I like what he has decided, then cool, I'll go along with it. It's like, yeah, cool, that sounds good, let's do it. If I don't like it, then I will disagree and have a discussion about it. Right? I'll say, oh no, actually, man, that doesn't sound too good. Like, what else? What else could we do? Because I'm thinking if we do this or do that, this is going to happen and that's going to happen or whatever. Like, I'm not just going to go along with it and comply and just let this other guy just lead a situation and it be a bad decision. Right? It's like I'm still going to be present enough to say, hey, to discuss a situation that's not to my liking. Okay, so another misconception is that if you become alpha, then you're going to be challenged all the time by guys, and you're going to get yourself into fights, right? So that's a fear of a lot of guys. They think, well, if I become alpha, then I'm going to have to fight all these guys to prove my my toughness, my alphaness, But that's not the way it works. I mean, maybe that it worked that way when, likely did work that way when we were in a closed tribe, where you had to prove yourself and go through rituals and initiation ceremonies and prove yourself as a man and do all sorts of, they still do it in some tribes out there actually, where they get into sorts of stick fights and all that sort of stuff, and they've got to show their toughness and their resilience. But that's not the way that it works in modern civilized societies. You don't need to go through all that. And we're not in a closed tribe. We're in an ever-changing mix of people. And guys don't try to fight you to see if you're actually alpha. It's actually the opposite. When you behave like a lower-ranking male, you attract bad treatment from bad alpha males, like the bad boy type of guys. Right? The bad boy type of guys pick on the weaker males. They take advantage of them, and they push them around, so to speak. So as an alpha male, there's just less hassle, and basically people just don't mess with you, right? And that comes from, if you've read The Flow, the ebook that I've written, The Flow, you'll know about the technique called assume rapport, right? Where you assume that you've got the rapport of women, the acceptance, the approval of women, when you talk to them. You don't try to seek their approval and their acceptance, right? You just assume that you've got it. Right? Likewise with being an alpha male, we've got this assume theme at the modern man, because assuming it's about utilizing the power that is there for you, the natural power that you can have just by having that assumption of being in a good position. Right? So the assume theme tends to run through everything we do at the modern man, and one of the assume techniques related to being an alpha male is assume respect and also assume obedience, right? So assume that people are going to respect you. Just assume it. When I talk to someone in a situation, I'm not trying to get them to respect me. I just assume that they respect me. And I talk to them in a way where it's like I assume that they're going to comply. But I'm not being domineering. I'm seeking a win-win situation, which I think I'll talk about later. But no, actually I'll mention it now. Like a win-win situation, it's not like being alpha and you're trying to get everything for yourself. It's like you're trying to create good situations for you and other people. But because of that, because you've got good intentions and you're a good alpha male, it's like people should comply with you because you've got good intentions. You're leading the way in a good direction. So it's like I just expect that I'm going to get compliance. If I'm speaking to a receptionist, if I'm at a supermarket, if I'm at whatever the situation is, I'm talking to some girls in a bar, I just assume compliance, I assume respect. And what happens is that, as a result, people just tend to go along with it. So an example of assume respect was from today. As I said, I was at a shopping mall today and went to a supermarket. Walking through a supermarket, and there was a guy in front of me in an aisle that was a bit narrower than the other aisles, and he sort of cut into the aisle, at the midway point, because it was like a thing in the middle of the aisle making it narrower. He cut in and went in front of me, and he was talking on his mobile phone, and then he sort of stopped and slowed down and then stopped, and then I'm behind him, and he turned around, and I'm looking at him like, and then he saw me, and it's like, compared to him turning around and me going, that sort of thing, and wanting to get past him, or him turning around and me doing that sort of thing, he turned around, I'm like, Is it to say, move, dude? But I'm not saying it in an aggressive, my body language isn't, that sort of stuff. It's just, respect me, man, move. You know what I mean? And it's like, he saw that in that instant. This guy was bigger than me. He saw that in that instant, and then turned around and then moved his trolley out of the way and sort of, gestured in a slightly apologetic way, sort of thing. And I wasn't too concerned about whatever he did. I just wanted to keep moving and do what I need to do. But it's just, I assume that I'm going to get that respect. I'm not looking for it. I'm not saying, can you respect me, sort of thing? Can you get out of the way? Or that sort of thing. It's just to assume. Right? So that's just a random example from today. But it's just, as I said, you walk through the world with that assumption. And it's not in an aggressive way. Like, you're not seeking confrontation. Personally, I just expect that no one's going to want to have a confrontation with me. I just have that mindset where it's like, you're not going to want to have a confrontation with me, because why would you? And it's not as if to say I can beat up everyone in the world, but it's like, you don't want to have a confrontation with me. Because who does? Who wants to have confrontations all the time? Apart from people that are angry and crazy, right? But most people are just going to, avoid having confrontations with you. And if they feel that they're actually in the presence of an alpha male, they're going to get out of the way. They're going to do what they need to do to avoid a confrontation. So I hope I'm explaining this in the right way, because it's not an aggressive thing where you're going around showing anger or anything like that, but it's an undertone, like what I talked about in Better Than a Bad Boy. It's an undertone of aggression. It's that alpha male power that's just there, just waiting. And it's like, people don't want to poke it, they don't want to press it and set that fire off. They just want to, okay, they instinctively notice it and they comply, or they show respect. So as I was saying, one of the misconceptions is that guys are thinking if they become alpha, they're going to get into fights. But personally speaking, no one's tried to fight me since I've become an alpha male. It just doesn't happen. And I'm not looking for confrontation. I'm not aggressively looking at other dudes and sort of, or pushing them or anything like that. It's unnecessary. I don't need to do that. I don't need to prove myself. I don't need to do those type of things. It's just, as I said, you can be one of the alpha males. I can be in a situation with 30 people in the room and there could be 5 alpha males in there. I don't care. Do what you want. Be who you want to be. It's got nothing to do with me. It's like, I'm still the alpha. In his mind, he's thinking, he's the alpha. Good for you. Like, I don't need to prove it to that guy. I don't need to confront that guy. I don't need to challenge him. We're not in a closed tribe. We're in an ever-changing mix of people. And it's okay to be one of the alpha males. I'll show respect to the other alpha male. And likewise, he'll show respect back to me. Right? So, the whole fear of if I become an alpha male, then people are going to want to fight me, it's actually the opposite. The lower ranking you behave, the more people want to pick on you. That's how it goes. And that's how nature works as well, you would have seen. If you watch Discovery Channel and all that sort of stuff, Animal Planet. Okay, so another misconception is that you have to look tough all the time to be alpha. Like, posing and all that sort of stuff. The thing is that poser body language, if I'm sitting here, it's like, alright, well, poser body language. I'm doing that stuff all the time. Like, that's actually insecure. I feel like I need to prove something to you. When guys are behaving like that, it's actually insecure and they're not the most alpha. They're trying to prove themselves all the time. Right? So, what I'm talking about with alpha male power is an assumption that you're the alpha. Don't need to prove it. Right? So, with your body language, right? The best way to do alpha body language is just let your body relax and naturally do what it does. Right? For example, your body will digest food, it'll blink, it'll breathe without you even having to think about it. You don't have to sit there going and blinking and stuff like that. Just let your body do what it does. Likewise, when you're walking along somewhere, guys that walk along and they try to pose and, look at me sort of thing, you don't need to do any of that. Your body will just take care of walking along. You don't need to pose when you're walking. You don't need to pose when you're sitting. Just sit down naturally, and that's alpha enough. That's alpha. Let your body do what it does. Like an alpha, the true alpha is not trying to prove himself. You know, he'll sit there however he wants to sit and just let his body move however he wants to move it. You know, as opposed to some guy sitting there. You know, he's sitting in a cafe doing this sort of stuff. He's like, that sort of thing. And he's posing. He's got all sorts of insecurities going on in his head. It's like he's not the alpha male. Get out of here. You know, it's like the true alphas got nothing to prove, man. Know that you're the alpha. End of story. Right? So, you know, you have to look tough all the time. Drop that. Drop any of those sort of thoughts where, you know, to be alpha, I've got to show it by, you know, looking strong. It's like, just relax. It's like what we talked about in Dating Power and Mastery, the relaxed confidence. You know, it's the type of confidence that we teach at the Modern Man. Relaxed confidence. You know, because at the root of that, there's no insecurities. There's nothing you need to prove. It's just this relaxed confidence, this assumption of, you know, assumption that you're good, assumption that you're alpha, you know, assumption that girls like you. Don't need to prove anything, you know, that sort of stuff. Okay, so let's talk about the why. Why are women more attracted to alpha males? Why is that the case? There are many reasons. Some of them, better survivor. Alright, so traditionally speaking, an alpha male, for almost 100% of human history, was a better survivor. It wasn't until 1916 in America that the first supermarket came to be. There were markets before that, and then before that, it was basically fend for yourself. But in the modern world, a weak man, an omega male, can go to the supermarket and get food and take care of himself, and even take care of a family, get a job, be protected by the police system, the court system, the media, etc. But for almost 100% of human history, it wasn't so easy. You know, the supermarket that came along wasn't there all the time, right? So for a woman, going with an alpha male, choosing an alpha male, is a much better decision in terms of survival, right? So even though survival conditions have changed in the modern world and it's a lot easier for weak men to survive, and they can survive just as well as alpha males, the instinctive attraction that women have to men has not changed, right? So the instinctive reaction that a woman has to an alpha male, to choose him, her body, her mind, whatever, in that full attraction reaction, it happens naturally still for alpha males. It hasn't changed because we've got supermarkets and cars and phones and TVs and stuff. You know, so the attraction, automatic reaction is still there. Now, even though survival is easier for weaker men in the modern world, alpha males are still going to have a better chance of surviving better and prospering better and doing better in their life. You know, there are a lot of jobs that have come up for weaker men, for nerd-type men over the last sort of 30 years. But, you know, alpha males still, they're the ones that rise to the top. You know, they're the ones that end up leading situations. You know, there's the anomalies like the Mark Zuckerbergs and the Bill Gates and things like that end up becoming, you know, some of the most richest and powerful people in the world. But that's not the majority. When you look at CEOs of companies or high-ranking members of society, men, they're alpha males, right? They're not nerds, they're not weak men, right? So anomalies aside, alpha males still survive better, you know, generally speaking, right? So they're still going to have a better chance of surviving better, having a better life. Better sex is another one. So better survivor, better sex. Better sex. Most of a woman's pleasure during sex comes from how she perceives her man, right? So who she's being effed by, right? So her perception of you influences her sexual experience, and it's either going to be a deep, satisfying experience because she perceives you as a man that she wants to open up to and surrender to and be penetrated by, and that's erotic for her to be penetrated by such a powerful man, or she sees you as a weak man, as a half man, as a little boy on the inside, and she doesn't fully open up, and it's not erotic for her. It's just sort of like it's a bit weird and awkward. Like with a weak man, a woman is, deep down, she's reluctantly letting the weak man have access to her, right? She might be reluctantly letting him have access to her, have sex with her, because she's living with him. They're paying rent together. They got a family together, or she just wants a boyfriend and she's just accepted a weak guy for a while that she can be in control of the relationship with. But deep down, it's not a fully erotic, opening up, surrendering experience for her. Sex with a guy like that is mostly physical for her. Like, she gets the physical sensations, which are, they're going to feel nice for her, they're going to feel good, but the true pleasure that a woman gets from sex is the deeper stuff. It's the mind penetration. It's the emotional. It's the opening up. It's her surrendering to a force, a power, an alpha male power. Right? It's her opening up to that and being opened up by it, being penetrated by it. It's the ultimate for a woman. And if you can really hit that point with her, then it's like it's just electric. It's amazing, right? Yeah, she's either going to never have experienced it, or she's only going to have really experienced it if she's very had a lot of sexual experience. But if you come along and you're that type of guy that can really open her up, and you're a real, true alpha male, and that just happens, she'll just naturally open up. By default, if you're a true alpha male and you really have that power and you embrace it, if you're that type of guy and you can come along and you're effing her and you're kissing her, you're touching her, you're holding her, and that she's getting that, right? She's being penetrated by that. Again, 1 in a million. Like, she's not going to forget you. She's not going to want to get rid of you. It's what women are looking for, in that area. So when a woman is with an alpha male, there's a clear masculine and feminine dynamic. Even if she's an alpha female, there's a clear masculine feminine dynamic. Right? So as a result, she can properly surrender. Right? If there's not a proper masculine feminine dynamic, if you're only sort of kind of a man, if you're kind of an alpha male, if you don't fully embrace your alpha male power and you just sort of you're afraid of it, you're afraid of, as I was saying with the John Bones Jones quote, you're afraid of your greatness and you're afraid of that power that you have. If you suppress it and you're only kind of half a man and you sort of let her be kind of the boss as well, then it's not going to be the true masculine feminine dynamic, and she's not going to be able to properly surrender, right? And you're not going to have the impact on her that a true alpha male could. Another reason why women are more attracted to alpha males is that it's safer. For almost 100% of human history, there was the threat of being killed. There was the threat of people coming in and killing you, taking your wife, killing your kids, invading tribes, invading gangs when we lived in towns and stuff like that. And, when the laws weren't that good and the protection wasn't that good. Even to this day, in the safer world that we live in, there is still some element of risk. And a woman feels safer being with an alpha male than with a lower ranking male. A male that places himself below other men. And the thing is, in the modern world, these days there are a lot of weak men. And much of that has got to do with all the changes that have gone on over the last 30 to 40 years, but also because of the continual mixed messages we get from TV advertising and TV sitcoms and so forth. And also the lack of really good, strong, masculine role models as we grow up. So in the modern world there are a lot of weak men. And for a lot of women, they have to settle for a man that is flawed, a man that really isn't truly alpha. Alright, so what happens as a result? Unhappy relationships and marriages. It's no surprises there. No sexual drive for each other either. So the man's not really being a man, and the woman is not really with a man, right? And as a result, she can't really be a true woman. You know, she's sort of like kind of half taking on the manly role in the relationship, and as a result, either party aren't really attracted to each other. There's no real sexual drive there. So, that's happening a lot in the modern world. Now, in terms of safer, I don't mean big and muscly. You know, like the standard insecurities that guys have pop up in all sorts of situations. You know, when it comes to picking up attractive women, they must only go for male models. When it comes to alpha male, you got to be big and strong. The stronger guys, the bigger guys, they're the ones, right? So, but it's not the case. It's not how it works, and you've got to accept the reality that you see around you. I mean, an example that shocked me and really confused me for a long time, and Ben as well, we couldn't work it out. Stu seemed to understand it, but Mark the Master, the guy that we interview in Confessions of a Natural. Now, he's a short, petite-looking guy, right? He doesn't have much muscle on him at all. He's a very small man, but women feel safe around him, right? Women, how do they feel safe around him? Because, you know, you look at him, he's not bigger than the other guys. How can they feel safe around him? Well, when we're in a group situation, when we're at a social event, at a party or whatever, Mark is not bowing down to other men. And when he speaks, people listen, right? It's not because he's an arrogant guy or anything like that. It's just that he's just got that alpha male power about him. It's just like, listen to me, I'm speaking. You know, he doesn't have to say that. It's like, okay, he's speaking, respect him. If you don't respect him, he's going to say to you later, hey man, what was going on before? I was in the middle of saying something, you just kept jumping in, what's going on? You know, he'll call you on it. And it's like, you know you're going to get that from Mark. But you're also he's going to say to you, hey man, you know, you're a really good friend. You know, I really appreciate our friendship. You're a really cool guy. He's going to say stuff like that. He's going to be a good guy. He's going to be there for you. If you need help, he's going to be there for you. If you need someone to talk to, he's there for you. You know, he's not just, hey, you know, listen to me, everyone, sort of thing. Not, as I said earlier, it's not about bossing everyone around, but it's about this sense of power that you have, the alpha male power. Right now, you know, when we're in social situations, at parties or whatever, Mark's always got a hot girl with him, a hot girlfriend or a new girl that he's sleeping with. And, you know, a lot of Stu's friends are tall guys, you know, and Stu's brothers, they're all tall and stuff like that. But Mark doesn't start bowing down to everyone and all those guys and Stu's brothers and stuff like that. He's just talking to them like he would talk to any other guy, you know, and he doesn't drop his alpha male status. Likewise with, you know, myself in the group. I'm not dropping my status for anyone. Neither is Stu, neither are his brothers. Or, you know, the other guys that we know. You know, sure, there's lots of guys that are in the group that aren't alpha males and don't maintain their alpha male status, and that's okay. That's their approach to life. You know, they're lower ranking males, and that's just how it goes, right? So, you know, none of us hold anything against them for it, but if they ever wanted to learn, all they'd need to do is ask. But some guys, unlike you, unlike me, you know, some guys, they don't want to learn, they're too afraid, they don't know that they can learn, and they just, you know, they're fearful of becoming an alpha male, they're fearful of stepping up. But it's not scary, it's actually more comfortable to be in the alpha position. There's no worrying, there's no nervousness. And in terms of Mark, as I was saying, making women feel safe, you see him in social situations, he's not worried, he's not nervous, he's not trying to make himself look better than other guys. You know, and as a result, his women see that, and they see that, okay, like, he's an alpha male. He's someone that they can, you know, he's not going to be picked on, he's not going to be taken advantage of, pushed around, people are going to respect him. If something happens, his friends are going to be there for him. You know, people respect him. Right, so that's what I'm talking about. So it's not about the big and muscly thing in terms of safer. Okay, another reason why women are more attracted to alpha males is for their own personal happiness. right? An alpha male is going to make a woman feel better. She's going to feel better about herself compared to being with a lower ranking male, and especially a very low ranking male. There's going to be a masculine and feminine dynamic between him and her, so she's naturally going to feel better. You know, if you're in a 50-50 type relationship with a girl where you're sort of equal power, it's not as exciting, it's not as fulfilling, it's not as sexual. The drive isn't as strong as when you are with, you are the man, she is the woman. There's nothing quite like it, but a lot of modern men, they drop their alpha male status and their power, often because they don't know any better and they think it's the right thing to do. They hear that sort of stuff on TV and from advertising and all that sort of stuff, saying that women want to be in that position, but they don't want to be. They want the man to be the man. But look, when you're an alpha male, the woman is so much happier. Like, guys say it about my girlfriends all the time. They're always commenting how my girlfriends are beaming, their smiles are, ear to ear, they're sort of, giddy and stuff like that around me. It's because I'm the power, I'm the man, I'm the foundation, the rock, the source. I'm the steadiness, the power, and she's the ever-changing, the chaos, the colourful, all that sort of stuff. And it's just the perfect dynamic. It's just how the natural dynamic that is available. Or you can have the plain dynamic, the neutral dynamic of, oh no, we're kind of equal, like, she's kind of like the boss and I'm kind of like the boss, and yeah, we're like buddies sort of thing. And it's not the same, right? So in terms of a woman's happiness, when she's with an alpha male, a man that embraces his position, he doesn't drop his position for her, it's deeply satisfying for her and really adds to her happiness because she gets to be a woman as a result. So in terms of a woman expressing what makes her happy, women can't say, I like a man who respects me and loves me, but also dominates me, puts me in my place and doesn't allow me to push him around. A guy who makes me want to be a good girl for him, cook for him, clean up, give him oral sex when he's watching TV. Women can't say that. They can't say, oh yeah, I like a guy to, make sure that I'm put in my place. Make sure that, and don't put up with my bad behaviour and tantrums. If I have if I'm treating him badly or throwing tantrums, he can, kick me out, or, he can hang up the phone on me and not want to talk to me and all that sort of stuff. A guy that doesn't put up with that sort of stuff, they can't publicly say that. They can't say, oh yeah, I like to be, sometimes in the bedroom, I like him to, when he's doing me from behind, push my head down into the pillow and, really bang into me from behind. Like, they can't say that, right? They've got to say all this, nice stuff, and, oh yeah, I like a guy that's caring, and I'm an independent woman, so, a guy that listens to me, and I've got to have my say, and, I make decisions too, and all this sort of stuff. Now, I'm not saying that you don't let your woman make decisions. Of course you do. You let everyone make decisions, but you're in control, and women like that, regardless of the position that they've acquired in society. I think I mentioned in Better Than a Bad Boy, I've been with women who are lawyers and in all sorts of high positions, and they still want to be the girl. They still want to be the woman, right? They don't want you to hand over your power to them. It's not a turn-on for them. It's not erotic. They want to, the erotic feeling that they get, the truly satisfying feeling that they get is to submit and surrender to a man. Now, I'm not saying, you're being overly dominating and you're, really getting stuck into them, but, from body and mind, you're the one that is the dominant one. And as long as that is coming through in what you're doing and how you're behaving and how you're thinking, you're doing it right. Now, another thing worth mentioning is that, what I said here, a man who respect her and love her, but also dominate her, put her in her place, don't allow her to push you around, make her want to be a good girl for you and cook for you, clean for you, and suck you off, give you oral sex when you're watching TV, sort of thing. Women actually see that as a nice guy. That's what they're talking about when they're saying a nice guy, but they can't say it, because, the guy's being a good guy, loving her, respecting her, being a good man by her, but also, giving her that other side that she wants, right? That's, yeah, women love that sort of guy, and they say, oh, he's so nice, he's such a nice guy, he's such a great guy, he's a great man, he's a real man, all that sort of stuff, right? So, yeah, it's confusing, the sort of things that women say publicly and, what they actually mean in reality. Okay, so I've got a note here, feminist movement after effect. So, the feminist movement that happened when women started becoming, having equality and all that sort of thing, which is great, and they started having a voice and getting involved in the workforce, and they really did add so much more to the world, to humanity, to what we're up to, where we're going, what we're achieving, all that sort of stuff. Women have it's really been great. But, there have been some negative and unwanted side effects, and one of those that women are still dealing with is that women feel embarrassed to admit that they like to be in a less dominant position. So with all this talk about being independent, an independent woman and doing her own thing and having a career and standing up for herself and all that sort of stuff, it's embarrassing for a lot of women to say that they like to be in a less dominant position. So don't ever expect to hear it from a woman. You've just got to know that you're the alpha, you're the man, and of course you're in the more dominant position, no matter who she is, no matter what position she is, has in society. Okay, so in the final one, in terms of why women are more attracted to alpha males, is their personal pride. Alright, so in a social situation, a weak man is going to be embarrassing for her. You might have seen that amongst groups of friends, or you're at parties or social events, where the woman is quite a fairly strong woman and she's got a weak man. It's a common matchup. The strong woman gets the weak man, she controls him throughout the relationship, and then he ends up getting his heart broken most of the time, or she just controls him. But anyway, you see that strong woman with the weak man, and he's doing things and behaving in ways that are embarrassing her, and you can see that. You can see how she's feeling embarrassed by his behaviour. So she's not going to feel proud, right? She's going to see her man being picked on. She's going to see him the butt of other people's jokes. People saying jokes to his face, behind his back, pushing him around in conversation. She's going to see that. And of course, from her own personal pride perspective, she's not going to feel very good about herself. Whereas an alpha male is going to be respected. And of course, she's then going to be proud of that. She's going to be able to look to him as her man, rather than, yeah, you know what I mean? It's my boyfriend. Yeah, okay, sort of thing. She can look to the alpha male as her man. She can feel proud, she can feel safe, she's happy. Shiny versus strong. So, in this little section here, I want to talk about something that helps highlight the difference between men and women, and where a lot of modern men are going wrong and ruining their attraction, the women's attraction for them. Got here, women are meant to shine, men meant to be strong. If you've ever noticed the TV ads for women, when they're advertising, stuff to make women look nice and look pretty, they're often talking about shiny, sparkly, shimmer, and it's all about looking more radiant and bright, right? But that's not what, works for men. That's not what, if you look at men's advertising, what they're advertising to us, what are they talking about? Their freedom, control, toughness, status, impressing women. It's not about us shining and sparkling and glimmering and all that sort of stuff. However, with the whole, when that metrosexual thing happened, that whole fad where men started shaving, waxing and doing all sorts of stuff, like plucking their eyebrows and getting manicures and all that sort of stuff, that came and went, but still, many years after, men are still trying to be like women, in terms of they're trying to be the peacock. And I talk about this in The Flow, in that, if you look at the peacock bird, right, the male, it's about the male looking all pretty and showing all his colours in his big feather thing, whatever he does, right? and it's about showing that for the woman, and then the woman selects him. And you see there's a fair bit of that in the bird kingdom, right? You see a lot of bird species doing that. The males looking all bright and colourful and stuff for the girls, but that's not how it works for humans. Us men, male humans, it's not about us being bright and colourful. Alright, so, a lot of guys, they get caught up in that, and they're trying to look as bright and sparkly, and, I'm not saying guys putting on glitter and stuff like that, but they're trying to really make themselves shine. And that is not what human male-female attraction is about. There's nothing wrong with looking nice and presenting yourself nicely, but in terms of a woman's raw attraction for a guy, it's not about him looking like a girl, looking all shiny and sparkly like her. The attraction that you're really going to get is when she feels your power, and it's that raw masculine power, the alpha male power. You're talking to her and she can just feel it. It's not something that she has to see. When we're looking at women, we want them shiny and radiant and full of life and vibrance. That's what we're breeding into. Because in terms of breeding, we want to breed with something that is healthy and vital. But in terms of a woman breeding with a man, she's looking for something that's going to be a good survivor, that's going to be able to handle himself in the world. Right? So it's not about her finding a pretty boy. So a lot of guys get caught up with that in the modern world. And, you might have gotten caught up with that 1% or 5% or 30%. It might influence you in certain ways, in small ways and little ways. But from now on, just take note of it and make sure that you're not trying to be shiny and shimmery and glittery like a girl. Right? That's not what attracts women to men. Right? It's our deep, raw, masculine, our alpha male power. It's the strength. It's the core strength. It's the source of stability. It's that power. Women can feel it, and if it's real, if it's really coming from deep within you, it is such a turn on for a woman, right? So if you're talking to a woman in any situation and she can just feel that you have that there, that it's really a strong, stable source of power. You're not full of insecurities, and you're not looking to drop your status as alpha male as soon as she shows any challenge. That you're the alpha and you embrace that. You really can't get much more attractive to women. It's just, that's it. That's just going to hit right at the deepest level.